What's up, guys? Welcome back to another video. I wanted to do this the other day, but I didn't get around to doing it. But I wanted to pretty much do a reaction video to this absolute joke of a leadership that we've got at the moment, and the fact it pretty much got called out by Trump meeting Starmer. And I've never seen a man sink in his chair so much. So we're going to look at a few bits on that and just kind of go over what we've seen. If you've not seen the whole thing, I'll try and link it below if I can find one. The one I took snips off doesn't quite show Starmer as much as I'd like it to. If you see the full version, while Trump's talking, you can just see his face reacting and stuff like that. So anyway, let's have a look. If you didn't see, Starmer and Trump met up at Trump's new place up in Scotland. And yeah, well, speaks for itself. First off, quite a big announcement in there. He mentioned the 50-odd day deadline to Russia, which many channels are counting down to the day X of, and World War III starting at the end of this. What happens at the end of this is 100% tariffs and sanctions and stuff like that. Stuff that they've done before against Russia. So it's all monetary and it's all trying to force them to the negotiation table. So I don't think it's 10 days, bang, World War III. Many channels will tell you that. It could spiral into something like that. This is why we prep in the first place, but this is not what I'm saying. But I've got a snip here of just him reconfirming that to a reporter.
Many channels conversations with the Russians, reiterating this?
In what?
Reiterating this new pressure and deadline.
Yeah, well, we're going to have a, yeah, I mean, well, you're the press. I'm reiterating it to you. Yeah, I'd say 10 to 12 days. I'll announce it probably tonight or tomorrow. But there's no reason to wait. If you know what the answer is going to be, why wait? And it would be sanctions and maybe tariffs, secondary tariffs. You know what a secondary tariff is. And look, the Russian, I don't want to do that to Russia. I love the Russian people.
So, yeah, I mean, that deadline being pushed up is quite big news. It's going to change a lot of people's agendas and their YouTube schedules because they were counting this down. So we'll see what happens with that. In the end, it was 12 days. So we're looking at around 10 days now, 9 or 10 days, depending on when you see this video. But that's the big news of this whole thing. The rest of it was just a laughing stock. And full credit to some of the reporters, especially the GB News ones, for asking the right questions to make Starmer squirm. Free speech. We all know it's a great thing in this country, right? Nobody's censored.
You have a successful social media site. There are new powers here to censor your site. States mandated
To
powers.
censor my site?
To censor your site and Twitter
truth?
and Facebook.
Truth?
I mean truth. Is that okay?
Well, I don't think he's going to censor my site because I say only good things. Will you please uncensor my site?
Yeah, we're not censoring anyone. We've got some measures which are there to protect children, in particular from sites like sites. We've had too many cases in the United Kingdom of young children taking their own lives, and when you look through their social media, they've been accessing sites which talk about encouraging, if you like, children down that road, and that is what we want to stop. Nothing about censoring free speech.
But that treats all adults like
this
children.
Country is a proud.
But that can treat all adults
free
like
speech
children.
in this country has been for a very long time. We're very, very proud of it. We will protect it forever. But at the same time, I personally feel very strongly that we should protect our young teenagers, and that's what it usually is, from things like sites. I don't see that as a free speech issue.
There is a free speech issue. You twisting it onto something about sites that talk about unaliving themselves. We had to censor out some of the words on there, obviously. But you twisted it onto something like that just so people will go, oh yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, protect the children and stuff like that. It's not what it's about at all. And you are censoring. It's ridiculous. Free speech does not exist. If free speech exists in this country, write it into law properly. Stop sending police round to some old dear that said something on Facebook once sometime. We've all seen the clips. We've all seen the people thrown in prison for it. We've all seen the sentences. Who are you kidding? And do you think Trump doesn't know this?
I cannot imagine him censoring Truth Social. That's more of a very political, and it's been a very big success.
It's not going to happen.
And I only say good things about him and his country, so if they censor me, you're making a mistake. I'm going to give my ambassador the job, make sure it's not censored. I had not heard that.
Look at the body language of Starmer. Look how much he's fidgeting with his hands. Look how nervous he is. He probably doesn't even know if it's censored or not because they've done that much. So he's saying, oh, yeah, no way. But he probably doesn't know. You can tell how nervous he gets in some of these things. It's absolutely ridiculous. And then we went on to net zero. We all think it's a brilliant idea, right? We all think it's going to work. Not if you ask Brian. But this is what everyone's been saying over here that's got any sense. And the clip here just shows Trump, but if you watch the full version below, you'll see how much he squirms in his chair. I think I sliced in a few screenshots of how he looked while this was being said. So check this out, what they said about wind energy.
Wind is a disaster.
But in Scotland and across the UK, wind farms are
I know,
cropping
it's
up
a shame.
offshore,
It's not his
onshore.
fault.
Well,
I used to tell Alex Salmon.
have you spoken to the Prime Minister, and will you speak to the First
Well,
Minister of Scotland?
all I can do is give my wind. Look, wind is the most expensive form of energy, and it destroys the beauty of your fields and your plains and your waterways. Look out there. There's no windmills, but if you look in another direction, you see windmills. You can take 1,000 times more energy out of a hole in the ground this big. This big. It's called oil and gas. And you have it there, the North Sea. This big, that nobody would even see.
Trump, in 40 minutes of this whole section that was publicised, pretty much destroyed everything Starmer's been saying, and he looks so uncomfortable during it. And it gets better. It gets better. Because he mentions the London mayor, which, by the way, some of the extreme left have already twisted into saying that he made some sort of racist remark. Nobody mentioned anything to do with race during this, and I'll show you the segment so you can see for yourself, so you can ignore them comments on X.
Will you visit London during the state visit, or are you
I
worried?
will. I'm not a fan of your mayor.
Why not?
I think he's done a terrible job. The mayor of London, but a nasty person.
Are you worried it's not?
I think
No, he's a friend of mine.
no, I think he's done a terrible job. But I would certainly visit London.
Starmer's eyes are just looking over towards his aides going, help me, please help me. But he doesn't say anything. He says, terrible person, done a bad job. What has that got to do with anything racial or anything like that? So people that are saying that on X, just attention seeking, just basically trying to argue a point that isn't even there. But yeah, you might love or hate Donald Trump, but at least he's saying it like it is. Because guess what? We've not been allowed to. Why? Because of free speech in this country. That means the police might knock on my door for saying something wrong. Free speech, apparently. Again, credit to the GB reporter. This clip's a bit longer, but this is about the farmers and the farm tax. And they bring that up, and then listen carefully to how Starmer makes his excuse and how he makes it sound better than it is, and then we'll talk about it after.
We have a lot of unhappy farmers in this country at the moment, and I'm sure the Prime Minister won't thank me for raising this. We've had changes to inheritance tax, which mean a lot of farmers feel they're going to lose their farms when they die or their father dies. How important are farmers to a country?
You mean they're going to lose the farm because of estate taxes?
Correct. So that when they
what
die,
I've
they'll have to
done-
pay so much. They're cash poor, but they have great
I
property.
know. Well, they're cash poor. They're land rich and cash poor. A lot of people are. I've had that too. Sometimes I'm land rich and cash. Sometimes I'm cash rich and land poor. I like it both ways, but as they get older, I like the more conservative. So I did something that I don't know if you can do, but it was great. I love our farmers. As you know, in our tax bill, we have a clause that's very important. We were losing a lot of farms to the banks because of a loving mother and father would die and left their farm to their children or their child, but their children, their family. And they loved their family, and they thought they were doing them a favor, but they had a 50% tax to pay. So the land would get valued, and at a high number, because some of the farms were valuable, but they didn't, they couldn't quantify it. And they go out and borrow money to pay the estate tax or the death tax, as it's called. And they'd overextend, and they'd lose the farm. And they'd commit suicide in many cases.
We're seeing that.
No. Our levels are nowhere near 50%.
They're not 50%, but the dissatisfaction
they're not.
is real.
We've just introduced where it's paid over many years, works out
that's good.
an extra 2% a year over 10 years. So it's not at those levels by any stretch of the imagination.
An extra 2% doesn't sound like much. Every year for 10 years. That's an extra 20% on the tax they're already paying. So never mind, it's not even close to them levels. It's very close to them levels. And if it was not an issue, why is the entire farming community up in arms about it? Look at the actual bills some of these big farmers would be getting if they pass it down. And look how much he squirms in his seat when Trump says, what I did, you could probably do something like this. No, he's not going to do something like this because it doesn't interest his agenda. It was great to watch, and to be honest, I'm looking forward to the PMQs after this, and I'm hoping it doesn't just get skirted over, because many good points were put across to him and he was squirming in his seat completely. Wants to keep that trade agreement that he's made, and he'll sing and praise all that, and he's done this trade agreement and he's wonderful and he's organised all this, but will he pick up on any of the issues that has been addressed? The biggest issue in this country, we all know what that is. And Trump's done a good job of stopping that in his country and putting Americans first. As soon as the question's answered, listen to the amount of interference that's come in from the people shouting at the back to try and stop this. And that's when the press conference ended abruptly.
Mr. President,
back to migration, one of the hot flashpoint issues in Britain is migrants being housed in hotels and people in the local communities not feeling safe. Is that an appropriate place to be housing migrants? Does Britain need its own version of the alligator Alcatraz?
Anybody illegally should not be allowed in the country. Thank you all.
Cheeky smile at the end there from Starmer, because he knew he just got away with that one. A major issue that if Trump or anyone from his cabinet was in charge or had any influence in this country would not tolerate, and we all know it. But still not being addressed. Sings his own praises about it, claims that they've done so much in the time that they've been here in the year, but we all know it's not enough. Like I say, I'll put the full thing below. It's nice just to watch him squirm in his seat. Let's see how many different things, what he said in this compared to what he does over the next year or so, because I have no doubt people will still be getting knocked on the doors from the naughty word police for social media posts, for stuff like that. And we are a censored nation. We are becoming Big Brother, 1984, George Orwell. It's all happening. This is what's going on. This is just my opinion. Your political views might be completely different. You're entitled to them. I will listen to your point of view if you put it in the comments, and I'll respond. It's all up for debate. We can all have a smile and a drink at the end of the day if we talk about it like adults. Doesn't need to turn into a mud throwing thing. So, thanks for tuning in. Wanted to bring you that news just because it brought me so much pleasure to see. Thanks for watching, guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, all that wonderful stuff that the algorithm likes, and I'll see you in another video really soon. Goodbye.